It's another Explore Corner, BC, and we're excited. You've seen the smiles on my face, right?
Of course.
Yeah, we are with the great man. I remember the last time, it was about 2 years ago, we did an interview with this goodly gentleman, the mayor of Carriacou. Some may refer to him as the mayor in culture, someone who's been around and a very, very instrumental, not just with culture, but the development of Carriacou and Petit Martinique and Grenada by extension. You may even say the United States, because he's been around. Should we mention his name? Because I think everyone knows him by now, but Mr. Leo Joseph the Great.
How are you, my dear?
Sir Leo Joseph the Great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
I am doing fine. I mean, this is an interview we should have done a very, very long time ago. We did one with you, and we said we were going to come back. But now we are here because you know what time it is. It is regatta time. And who else should we speak to than someone who's been there from since 1965?
Correct.
Lovely.
Before?
Oh, before?
Yeah.
Well, that's all I want to know.
Yeah,
If it's 1965 or before. Because I know he must know something leading up to the start of that sailing event.
Yeah.
We know that regatta is about sailing. Regatta, we have a regatta to keep our tradition of boat building alive. And it is the time of the year for it.
Correct. We see Carriacouans by our mere marine type lifestyle. We born and grow on the sea, literally. And so, of course, boats and boat racing was a part of life in Carriacou, from Carriacou's existence. Just about years ago, every August Monday, the local boats will go out racing. I could remember boats like Prosperous and Mineta. That is one owned by late Condos, Vidal Vespri.
So, if I may interrupt, about what period, during what years you're speaking about now?
That's probably
In the
40s, 50s coming up.
Wow.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you much in the 40s, but I could very much start in the 50s. But I'm saying that to say that boats were always racing in Carriacou. What happened in 1965 is John Linton Rigg, a Jamaican-born, but call him Caucasian, milk white, blue white, straight hair, was living in the Bahamas for some time of his life. And he was very much a part of the Bahamian Regatta. And that regatta is world-renowned, well-known, and you could very well understand. The Bahamas being so close to the United States of America, you have just about everybody in the yachting fraternity will go down to the Bahamas for the Bahamian Regatta. So Riggs literally lived there for just about all of his life. And then he thought, you know, enough of that. I want to find some place where it's tranquil and I could come and live the rest of my life quietly. He ended up here in Carriacou.
Sweet Carriacou.
And pick up residence at the Imperial Haberdashery. Rented there and changed the name to the Mermaid Tavern. Mermaid Tavern. So, Linton Riggs, you know, when you're into something, when it's like, if there's a habit, if something you like doing, it never really grow out of you. So Linton Riggs, noting what there is in Carriacou, nice blue pristine waters, sailors and boats. So he thought, and everything was done haphazardly, so he thought he could organize them into a Carriacou Regatta. It could be something for the good of not only the culture, but the economy of Carriacou. So Linton Riggs set out to organize what we call the Carriacou Regatta. Well, for me as a youngster, that regatta was a new word to everybody's vocabulary. Because if we know we both were racing all the time, regatta was never in our vocabulary. But when we when we do find out that the regatta was a boat race, long story short, everything was done, planned, and so on and so forth. Incidentally, it's the same year that we started a little band in Carriacou. Most people know it as YTT, but when it started, then it was Blue Rhythm Combo. Blue Rhythm Combo changed from Blue Rhythm Combo to Sun Blisters and to YTT. Same band, but we just changed members as the years go by. So it was an opportunity for us to be the band of choice to perform at the very first regatta in Carriacou, at the Mummy Tavern. I tell you, we were so excited that we just played, we just contributed, no charge. Just for the sake of something happening in Carriacou.
If I may ask, do you know why he chose that time of the year, August month?
Well, no. I don't have an explanation for it, but again, sometimes, in Christmas time, it could be rough here. In January, it could be very windy, but around August time, the water is flat, good sailing breeze and so on and so forth. So probably that's a reason. Okay. So Linton Rig organized the Carriacou Regatta. And that...
If I may ask, let me interrupt you. So Grenada Carnival now is the week after Regatta. In 65, was it the same?
No.
Right.
In 65, Grenada Carnival was same as Trinidad.
February, right.
February. Before
right.
Friends, yes.
That's the point I want to get across.
Change Grenada Carnival to August because, you see, it was overshadowed by Trinidad Carnival. So people coming from diaspora to be in the Caribbean for Carnival, if both happen at the same time, people in living Grenada are going to Trinidad because it's the bigger and the better festival.
Okay.
So they changed Grenada from February to August, which is a good move so that they wouldn't be under the shadow of Trinidad Carnival. That's what I think.
Okay.
So,
and during this period now with the Carriacou Regatta, was it a weekend of activities or just one day?
No, it was a weekend.
Okay.
3 days. But what I'm saying to you, because of Riggs' knowledge of the business and people in that circle, in the sailing world, the first regatta, I must tell you that we have here, anchored in Hillsborough, British Battleship, an American battleship, a French minesweeper, Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, Barbados Coast Guard, and everybody was here in Carriacou. When you look at Hillsborough Harbour, it was infested with its masts and boats, and it was so interacting because the guys from the battleship will come here, they play soccer with us. They bring the instruments to play in the band too. Nice. They bring the instruments. So it was, I could remember, well, not that year, but the second year, there was a match pass down Hillsborough, Main Street. And you see Pomp and Splendor with the British Navy and the American Navy and the guys. We had a match pass down Hillsborough. Wow. It was something to be seen. You could only dream of those days. I don't think we have the ability to repeat that. So Linton Rig organized and controlled regattas for the first 3 years, 65, 66, 67. And then he encouraged the government and locals here to take over the festival. And it was too much for him to handle by himself. And we did. But of course, nobody could very well duplicate or even match up with what Linton Rig was doing. But even then, it was good enough. So that is how we talk about regatta as we know it today. That was organized in 65. But if you really want to see the word regatta and boat racing, that was going on in Carriacou long before Linton Rig was born. It just wasn't organized and internationalized as it was under Linton Rig. Okay. So that's the history of Carriacou Regatta. I remember I always talk about those days we were youngsters. Mr. Lyle Bullen happened to be one of our premier soccer player for the state, not just Carriacou, but he played for the island. Lyle Bullen was good. But we had little soccer teams here. And 1 year, HMS Ulster came to Carriacou, British Battleship. And we were scheduled for a soccer match, football match. And I guess the guys thought, well, little Carriacou couldn't have too much to offer. So they just send a show, they beat him. And we had this soccer match in the recreation ground. Oh boy, we beat them 6-love, you know.
Wow!
So Carriacou was on a high. Hey, and we're pumping our chests and we were that good. But the second day, second match, they sent the show the real McCoy, the players.
Okay.
Rena, we didn't touch the ball twice. We got back the same 6. And abundance of goals. We had enough goals to sell. And back then we would have tug of war between ship and shore, cocktail parties, cocktail on ship, cocktail on shore. So, I mean, Carriacou was...
I guess that was able to happen back then because we weren't an independent nation as yet. Would you say that?
No. I think so, but it's just that it was... the sea meant more to Carriacouans that time. And since everybody, I could tell you, let me see if I can recall, the first regatta that year was 1965. We had a race starting from Trinidad through Grenada to end up in Carriacou. One race starting from St. Vincent, another race to end up in Carriacou. All organized by Linton Rig. And of course, the local races here in the harbor. And Linton Rig, in some instances, even employed the help of local captains and sailors, people like Sonny, my father, Martin Joseph, Bernard McLaren, and so on, to, in some instances, to act as pilots for the guys in the local races. And in that year, we had boats like Flicker 2. Flicker 2 was a converted British 12-meter. Now, a 12-meter yacht is the standard of yacht they use for World Cup or the America's Cup. So we had Flicker 2, we had Ticonderoga, we had El Tigre in the yacht racing, we had Blue Crane, and we had a little boat called Zigzag, something owned by a guy called Carl Schuster. And Carl Schuster, sole sailor was Joseph DeLille. They call him Joseph Odaido, they call him Trini. And Carl Schuster would say, anytime he has Joseph on board, tending the jib, he go in any part of the world. Joseph was that good. So we had races in every class. I had boats coming from Bakeway, I could remember. A boat called Invincible, captained by Reginald Stowe, was first in the long open boat class. Carriacou placed 4th. It was that grand, and we had all these participants because of the knowledge and the influence of Linton Rig. Linton Rig apparently knew half of the people in the sailing fraternity, and the other half knew him. So the guy had connections to throw. So he was able to use all his connections to the benefit of Carriacou. That's why we had all these people.
Okay. So I was just wondering, I'm like, okay, well, maybe because we weren't an independent nation, that's why we were able to have the US and the British Battleship and all of them coming in and this big parade in town.
But Rena, you see, years ago, because of us being part of the British Commonwealth, we would have periodic visits of American battleships, British battleships. They'd be sailing Caribbean all the time. I could remember as a youngster going to Hillsborough School, and whenever a battleship would be here, it was an occasion for the school children to go aboard. I used to look forward to that as Christmas, you know. So these things happen all the time. Remember this. First time an aircraft carrier came here, HMS Triumph, and they took us aboard, and I rode an elevator for the first time.
Wow. It's amazing how you remember the names of the boats and the names of the people. What? Because even me, like, things that happened recently, I can't remember people's name. I can't remember boats' name. Well, like just names.
The passion for things has it in there.
As far as boats are concerned, and I must tap myself on a fairly good memory. But because you like those things, and those things bring back special memories to you. Sometimes, you know, talking about boats and so on and so forth, I tell the guys, nowadays we always refer to Wynwood as being the boat building capital of Carriacou. It wasn't always that way. It wasn't always that way. Leicester Leicester. So I would say to the guys in Winwood, okay, let's just look at it. For every one boat you call in Winwood, I could call two from Leicester. Built in Leicester.
You mean like the big boats like what?
The people like, if you want to talk about Winwood, Amberjack, Mayflower, Ruby Sea, Rival Din, Emmanuel Gordon, I mean, Adina Star, Adina Mark, you name it. All these boats from Winwood. But then you talk about Leicester, you could talk about Essorable Triumphants, a Principal, S. Leading, a Ruder L. I mean, Faithful Step, Trader's Choice.
Wow.
Leicester was way ahead. But because, you know, the sad fact and sad thing is that we don't document.
Right.
And our history is not known because it's not recorded. So anything that happened a couple of years ago, it just go in the waste bin.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's why we're trying to document now.
Yeah.
So 20 years from now, 50 years from now, our great-grandchildren can go back and
look at it.
Yeah.
Posterity. You know, there was a boat built in Pigeon Martinique, the Seaflame J. A boat built by John Caesar. John Caesar is Michael Caesar's father. I don't know if it was a mistake he made, but tell it was the prettiest thing and the fastest boat around for the longest while. John Caesar had one himself called the Harriet Whittaker, but just nowhere near what he built for Denmark. It was about the best thing here in this part, Seaflame J. Again, because, well, you know, I was born in the sea, you know, literally. I was born in Fiji.
Okay.
In Leicester, that's where I was born.
Really?
All of us were born in Fiji.
Yeah.
So we'd spend all of our, from the time your eyes open in the morning, sometimes we send it to look for pig feeding, you have to pass in the seawater first. And my father was a seaman all his life. He lived and died on the sea. So that's where the connection is. So that passion you see we have for music and the sea and all that is because of our background.
So now that I know you have a boats race in Skylar. Is that your first boat in regatta?
Oh no.
So tell us about the history of your boats participating.
Well, the first boat, it was not my boat, but I contributed to it. This boat we call it the Police Squad. It was
What year was that?
1964 to 65. That was owned by Sonel Allard. Yeah, we helped him a little bit, but just out of school and I was working, so again some assistance, but it was his boat. The first boat that we built together was one we called God's Angel. It was built in Winwood by Jesse Compton.
Oh, I know that name.
Not Jesse Compton, right? That was the first one to build. Then I built another one. You know, sometimes I wasn't always able to be here for regatta, and so I have my business to run in New York. But you don't want the time to come and you're not able to be part of the regatta. So while I was living in New York, I built one in New York also. I put it in the container and sent it up. So
It's a jumpy. The jumpy.
yes, it's a disease, you know.
Yes.
And that was the Ace. And incidentally, Incidentally, it was the first boat built for Carriacou, even though it was built by somebody from Beckway, to leave Carriacou and go to Beckway and come first. Because back then, and probably even still now, Beckway was the mecca for long open boats. Whenever the guys would come from Beckway to Carriacou, they just come to beach and go back. We were far, far inferior. We were that inferior. I mean, the guys were just superior. So, in 1986, I met a guy, not 85 actually. I met a gentleman he's from Beckway, but he was the one who built boats like Country Girl and Move Up and Big Stuff, and all those boats are unbeatable. He came to Flamingo, he came to the club one night. And when I saw him, my eyes light up. I said, I was looking for you so much because I wanted a boat to be built so badly. He was living in the Bronx. I offered him an apartment to come to Brooklyn to live. Came to Brooklyn, we built Ace in the basement and we sent it down.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
So when Ace came down here, but the second or third day after it was here, good old son of Alert and so on, they took the boat to Beckway. and came first in the regatta in Bakeway.
Oh, nice.
The guys in Bakeway said that is not going to happen another time. So they felt insulted. A boat from Carriacou come to Bakeway and come first. No. So the Bakeway Sailing Club started on, they built a boat called Bluff. There is still one in existence, the Double Bluff. And that year, when we went back to Bakeway, we were beaten to a bluff. The bluff beat us up. Bluff beat us up. That was in April, Easter. But then when they came back here in August, we had conditions here better suited to us. So we gave them the same 3-0. And
nice.
that started a rivalry.
Right.
So they build one, we build one, we build one. Until in recent times, they were Compton. Gifted boy with a nice pair of hands. He built something that's Skylar that we're now trying to bring back to life. And he dominated Bakeway. Whenever Skylar was around, Skylar was the boat to beat. Then again, the one I had here called Ace, he rebuilt it. We call it Ace Plus. So there was 1 year that Vera Compton's boat came first in the long open boat class, the medium open boat class, and the small open boat class.
Where? In
Bakeway.
In Bakeway?
Yes.
Wow.
So now, even so, that my good friend from Bakeway had Vera build one for him here. We call it Eclipse. So Eclipse is my competitor to sail with Ace Plus, this common regatta.
So you said it yourself. So you're sailing this year?
Yeah.
So Ace Plus and Skylar?
Ace Plus and Skylar, yes. Well, see, the good thing about it is that if you want your regatta to be successful, you must support other regattas.
Of course.
Very much.
Bakeway has been our biggest supporter over the years. Even though we had participation from Tobago, Canawan, Mairo, Union, all the islands, the region. But Bakeway has always been our biggest supporter. So this year, noting that we want to bring back regatta, or an attempt to bring it back to a semblance of what it was, I made the sacrifice to take my boat to Bakeway.
Nice.
To participate in Bakeway's regatta and invite them and encourage them to be here in Carriacou this year regatta. So just by going with that one boat, I was promised a reciprocation of 5 boats coming from Bakeway.
Nice.
Problem is though, my boat that I went up with is a 26-footer. There is only one other boat in Bakeway on that size. Same Eclipse I'm telling about. But the majority of the boats in Bakeway, which is Slipaway, No Fence, Blackberry, Bluff again. Don't think of, but Confusion, all those boats are 28-footers. So, sometimes when I tell the guys, they come into Carriacou, they say, but we want some competition from Carriacou. We don't want to come down with Bakeway boats to race in Carriacou, Bakeway against Bakeway.
Yes.
Carriacou must be in the mix.
I agree.
So, Skylar was sitting there rotting away. So we decided, I took up on myself to pick it up, get somebody to come here and refurbish it. It looks like brand new again, it's almost finished. It's been painted now. So to take part in this year's regatta.
Lovely. So we have to pay a visit to Skylar.
Absolutely. yes.
Nice.
So, and sometimes you wonder why, but it's an ugly passion. It's an ugly passion. Always say to my family, that's my Roman cigarette money, because
it reminds me of someone every year after year. They're in Parang.
I wonder who is that?
I don't even know who is that. Sometimes they'll be like, you know what, I'm too old for that now. And then come a week or 2 weeks before, it's a love for it.
Is when you hear the itch,
The
itch, you can't help it. Yeah, you can help it. Tell you something. In America, we had Parang every year.
Oh, really?
Are you kidding me? Sometimes in school, you finger freeze on the banjos, guys, Parang every year.
Oh, like Parang.
Yeah, like Parang. Yeah.
Yes, Parang.
And we did it all in America. I could remember when Dr. O'Connell Caesar, again, he's John Caesar's son, Michael's brother. He was getting married in New York, and he said that well, boy, I want the whole tradition, I want everything. So he was supposed to do a joining in Brooklyn on Shepherd Avenue.
What?
So we wonder how we do that. We say, well, we're just going in the road, the cock and bouncers. It's so crazy.
So y'all did it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, hold up traffic.
Hold up traffic.
Then call police for you.
Whatever, and then police passing and wave. I remember, there was Mano Clouden. His mother from Petit Martinique, Vicky Clouden's son. He was the flag waver for Colonel Caesar. And of course, Bonfield. Bonfield Bristol was flag waver for his wife, then Bernadette. That's Covin Steele's sister.
Okay.
Man, you're making joke. If you open a line, don't you?
So the police wave y'all.
Yeah, wave us, man. They say, but they ain't doing anything. They ain't beating nobody with a commission pass and say close up the show.
Listen, but let's go back to Regatta. Besides the Bakeway boat, I know that you're leading on the committee for Regatta Festival. So besides Bakeway and the Carriacou slopes, do we have any confirmation from any other island?
Well, my run can one.
Oh, okay.
Lovely. What the country I would have liked to see be part of Carriacou Regatta against Tobago.
Yes.
Because when they first came in 1991, they brought with them 12 boats, tug and barge, and the cultural group. It was really a big boost to Carriacou Regatta.
You reached out to them?
Who?
Committee?
Not well.
Not for
Yeah,
this
I did. But in every group, you always have a team leader.
Right.
And the person who was responsible for keeping the guys together, they call it bumboats. The bumboat industry in Tobago took a dive. Fortunately for them, they tell me there is a member of the Tobago House of Assembly who wants to see that thing revived.
Right.
So, just found out about it, so I'm arranging a meeting with him to go meet him to see if we can encourage this thing, and so we could have an exchange again.
Okay, but maybe not for this year.
Not for this year.
It's a bit late.
You see, this thing, the Carriacou, I wish that more people, and even the youngsters, will take an interest in what's happening for Regatta. See, because it does two things for us. It's good for your lifestyle, your economy, and your culture. I mean, what we have bigger for Carriacou than the sea.
Exactly.
I always say we use the sea for salvation, recreation, transportation, you name it, the sea is what we know. And for salvation. So you figure every youngster born in Carriacou should know something about the sea. Everybody's not going to like the sea, but this is yours, that's what's feeding us. And it's so rich in everything else. So and the regatta sailing, you come up from the airport in Lauriston, and you see a sign say Carriacou, the land of boat building and big drum. But how many youngsters are building boat?
That's something that we have to revive. Our culture in general.
Of course.
Not just boat building, but stringman.
Everything.
How many stringmans do we have now? And big drum groups. And I heard a comment from you some time ago, even like with the big drum and the sound of the drum, it's more or less different to what it's supposed to be, the authentic stuff.
Trust me.
So that's something we need to do.
Well, because I was saying that, and I couldn't help but comment, because the last time for the Union Island performance, you heard drumming.
Yeah.
And you see people dancing as they possessed.
Yes.
That is how it's supposed to be. You don't dance big drum as there's a wax lady. He's supposed to take you.
Yes.
And take you to great heights, and you dance with a passion.
Yes.
But if the drumming is not there, if the drum is not properly tuned, and the rhythm is not there, you really can evoke the spirit. So I remember back in the day when you had people like Sugar Adams and Daniel Akins and his Lambert brothers from Happyville. I don't care, like my buddy used to say, sick, limo, lazy, deaf, democracy, you have to dance. Because the drumming was so nice. That's gone from us. We have youngsters taking up on it. So hopefully, I don't know, not been my lifetime, but hopefully there's a resurgence of the drum time.
It may happen. It may happen very soon because I know that it's something that the ministry is passionate about. Even lotteries, they're very passionate. And then we have some people who are in Carriacou and love it, just like you two.
Yeah, but yeah,
And they're a bit young still, so maybe through Basie left this and maybe we could get it going.
you see, people like myself left this base and so on and so forth. We got all God-given talent, but we didn't have the avenues to fully develop.
Yeah.
So you see, a very critical thing in the business of music is the rudiments of music, and none of us were ever formally trained.
Right.
Thanks to the little talent we have, we were able to pick up something by our ear and play it like that. But if you see, music is like mathematics. If you could calculate your notes as you calculate the numbers, you're good to go. But there is a format, there is a structure that we must be taught, and unfortunately, it's not happening in Carriacou. For the life of me, I don't understand why could somebody talking about 16 CXC subjects and 13 CXC subjects, and music is not included. Civics is not included.
Land of culture.
Yeah, and civics is not included. How you must know? You meet somebody in the morning, you must know, say, how are you, and some etiquette and some decorum. What's going on? That's what
So I remember you started the discussion about YTT and you all played for Regatta. After you all played for Regatta that year, what happened with YTT?
You know, YTT was going on for, remember, Regatta was 1965, eh? YTT was actually, back then it was Sun Blisters, eh? I'll tell you something else, but Sun Blisters was always sort of the leading band here in Carriacou. But you know, when you, in what is deemed to be position number one, is a coveted spot, and everybody try to pick at you. Every comparison they make is as for, because you're number one. So I remember, even though we started the band here in 1964, and I left in 1970, Laurie Cummins was in charge of it then. And one time he called me. He said, "Boss, I want permission to change the band name." But Larry have been gone for a very long time. You know, just do as you feel. What you want to call the band? He said, people like to criticize us so much. I want to tell them the band will say yesterday, it will be here today, and it will be here tomorrow.
Wonderful.
YTT. Yeah?
Yes.
So it was a bit of pick on or throwing word, if you will. So that's how the band became YTT. And the guys were here playing, and the band just went from strength to strength. It improved all the time. Arguably, the only band that might have shared that popularity as YTT did is Country Boys. Yeah, but YTT was them because we play here in Grenada, in St. Vincent, all over the place.
Internationally.
Internationally, yes.
Nice.
So YTT, YTT, the members of YTT, when we started, was basically from Leicester, but then we grew across the island. We had guys from Mount Pleasant and Road and so on and so forth. So it was sort of a national side. And back then the guys really took pride in what they played, because even in that YTT era, you had 4, 5 other combos, you know, not just one. You had YTT Generation, Gap, Revival, 7, Dynamites, and Arcades, and all those bands we had here. And Carriacou too. Back then had about 6 or 7 steel bands, you know. I look at Carriacou today, and we have, I think it's only George Andrew who's making an effort to do the band in Mount Pleasant, in Montreal. But we not had the band, Mount Pleasant had the band, Leicester had the band, Belmont had the band, Six Roads had the band, Brunswick had the band, you know.
Okay.
And you know, back in the day, Christmas Eve night, when you see all those guys get together in town, there's mass in the place, you know. But if we were to talk about YTT for a little while, since YTT was the band, you seem to have enjoyed the highlight of the high spot in Carriacou. When we left here, I could remember the first time I got a job in Manhattan. I was a messenger, and I would go out to deliver what they call important documents. They didn't want to send. And on my way one day, I ran into a Samash music store. Samash music store is nothing but instruments. You see every guitar, every keyboard, you name it, drums to the one. I would tell you, Rena boy, my eyes light up. And so every time they send me someplace, I have to pass by Samash and come back. And I just looking at the instruments and sort of thinking about if the guys home we get all these instruments, what they could or could not do with it. So I could remember the first 2 weeks after I got my salary, I bought them a guitar. I bought them a little wah pedal. And I basically then sent it down to them because they didn't need it here.
Yes.
And so well, they were playing all the time, talking about coming to America. And I think I mentioned to you how it happened. And how it happened once before. We were just lucky because while we were in America, Carriacou was always head and center from here because we had our own steel band, you know. Even, you see, LV and so Big Drum didn't even realize it. What do they call themselves?
CCO Caribou Organization, Caribou Organization.
That's named the first in New York, you know. We're the ones who sponsored them here. With Estimans one back in the day. So that was our name in America also. Caribou Organization. Caribou Organization. So we were always thinking of what we could do to help in Caribou. That's where the name came from. Caribou Organization. Yeah, man, we had our own steel band, own mass band, everything else. Big drum, quadrille, and we had people like the stalwarts like Sugar Adams, Lucian Duncan, and all those people those folks we sent for to keep the Carriacou culture boiling wherever we go. So that has been always involved, never left it.
Wonderful, Mr. Joseph. Well, we want to thank you and congratulate you for all the contributions that you have made to Carriacou. Well, not just Carriacou, to the nation, because it's not just Carriacou alone, to the nation. We really do appreciate your efforts.
Well, I thank you, but I always feel indebted to Carriacou, you know.
Yes.
Because whatever little I know, this is foundation, you know.
Of course.
This is foundation.
Home.
Because, you know, I was born and raised here, stayed here for a while, then went on to Presentation College in Grenada. But when I was going to Presentation College in Grenada, when we get vacation on a Friday, if I find about come on Friday night, I come on Friday.
Simstran?
No, back in days, all Simstran, Island Pride and Faithful Star, and those kind of boats like that. I mean, I wouldn't until Saturday morning. You have to be in Carriacou, you're bound to be in Carriacou as soon as you have the opportunity to arise. That's how it was. Carriacou was always a part of me and
will always be a part of you. So I look forward to sailing with you this year for regatta.
Yeah, let me tell you what. I take myself off the sea, but this year sailing back, you know.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you sailed.
I sailed, yeah.
What?
Because when we went up there, we didn't have enough crew, so I had to jump in.
Well, look at that.
Wonderful.
So, but you have crew for Carriacou Regatta.
Yeah, well, have it hopefully, and it's sad. Eh? We have to sometimes get somebody got some pitch mark and so on and so forth, and get a mixed thing. Yeah, and when things like that happen, you're always at a disadvantage because, say for example, the guys in Beckway, they have the fixed crew.
Yes.
So it always pays when you have guys who are accustomed doing things together. So you're always at a disadvantage. But if you have a good boat, you can still compete. So hopefully,
fingers crossed.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
And even if you know you don't always prevail, but the camaraderie and
that's what I like.
You know, there's a guy from Tobago, short and loud. His name is Preston. They call him Billy Preston. Rena, when you're racing with Billy Preston, even though you beat him money 5 miles back, you still boasting, you know. God help if he beat you. God help if Billy Preston beat you.
I like that.
He doesn't have to come first to boast, you know. You making joke. So,
And that's the whole thing. What I like about regatta, the old camaraderie, the bragging rights, and look at big.
absolutely.
And I remember even like the Wrong the Island race. I mean, before I used to be driving around following the race. And last year, well, I got a Norman boat and I followed on the boat. And I think this year I want to be on the sea again.
You see,
I want to be on the sea Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Your times and things change. And I know, of course, everything these days costs something.
Yes.
And to the extent that something could be offered to the sailors for the effort, I say kudos to that.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be.
About.
To me, the guys want to make believe as if the government didn't give them subsistence, they wouldn't race. So I said, no. You race, you'd like a little something to grease the wheel. But at the same time, it's entertainment for you, something like that. You do that, like say, if you're doing something that you like, it's not work, It's enjoyment, it's fun. So if you like saying, oh God, for God Almighty, say, go and race and sail and have fun.
This reminds me of Basie and I situation, because what we're doing, and people always ask us, oh, are you being paid for that? And we often say, well, no. I mean, there are some things we'll get a little grease and fight, but other things we're doing it because of the passion.
You love it.
And I believe when you have a passion for something and you love it, that's when you do it better.
Any job you do that you like is not work.
That's it.
It's only work when you don't like what you do. And I always say to one, hard work only kill lazy people. If you're lazy, you're failing hard work and you work and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I could be as tired as I am. I don't care if I'm falling on my face and somebody passes a banjo, I'm going to play. Or a boat building, I'm going to put me on it. You have the energy for that.
It's the love and the passion for it.
Yeah, that's what you love.
Yeah.
So if you can do what you love, that's what it is. But hopefully things will.
Regatta will be great this year.
Great.
We look forward to competitive boat racing for the 3 days. Any plans for the Friday? What normally happens on the Friday regarding boat racing? Any?
Well, no. What was we were looking at this. I don't know if we'll still be able to pull it across. Friday is the time that we will welcome our visitors.
Yes.
You want to say, well, welcome to Carriacou, eat and drink and all. This year, the guys from Baker are trying to organize a domino match. Baker versus Carriacou.
Nice.
So it's not just sailing, but we, do things together, which is so very good. It reminds me of in New York, we had Carriacou, a group called Bopu from Bequet, Canawan, Ukraine from Union. And when you see all those groups get together, be domino, all fours, it's a liberty and a lot of fun we serve together as Grenadines people. And that is why we're trying to impress upon the powers that be here, especially around regatta time. Union Island, Mairo, Canawan, and so we have to relax the so-called immigration bureaucracy for a while.
Yeah.
We want Grenadines.
Yeah, one people. I wish it could happen all the time, but at least it's not all the time. For Christ's sake, during the regatta time, give us some freedom and movement. I'll tell you one thing. As long as I've been alive and I've seen a few full moons there, I never use any kind of immigration documents to go to Union Island.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
We just walk ashore and come back. That's how we know it.
Yes. And I mean, traditionally, that's how it used to be, because I know since growing up, you see a lot of people from the Grenadines coming to support Carriacou Regatta. In town, the Monday, in town, the Sunday, or who you see in Grenadines walking up and down, they come in with a boat and they come and have a merry time. Peaceful.
And tell you what,
support us and then
tell
they
you
go
what,
back.
when somebody from Union comes for an exchange,
Yes, of course. Of course.
Look, man,
Yes.
you see, if you look in the distance, where I think that building on the top of the hill belongs to Jerome McWilkin. That's Bracano Hill. Mount Kululu. Years ago, the nets that we have around here was not sometimes big enough. When you see a big school of fish hovering around when you want to cast your net. So they'll go up on top of that hill and light a big buka. that was a signal for the guys from Union Island to come down.
Ah, really?
Yeah, Gifted and Duggan, those guys. And there's a spot in Rafale in Union.
Uh-huh.
When there's a flame, a light there, you must know, come up, because we're not telephone back.
Well, interesting.
Yeah. So that's the kind of relationship that we have.
From day one.
From day one.
From day one.
And there's so many. I have relatives, good blood relatives in Union Island, and vice versa. So what you can't put any rift between us with one people.
No. From since day one, we've been one. And then we always say again another thing. From since growing up, we always knew of St. Vincent Carnival, not even really Grenada Carnival. St. Vincent for Regatta, they're coming down for the carnival. We growing up, running home from school just to come and watch Touch and the Band and Kiddies Carnival and all these things. I remember back then. I remember we are one from since the
that interaction is so very important, and I think it should continue, and especially in places as Carriacou, where the population is so small.
Yes,
every additional person we could do with them.
We need them. We need them.
So,
because even I looked at the regatta in Petit Martinique, and when you looked at the show, my God, if you see the amount of people that came over, well, it had a regatta somewhere else. In another, it was Bekwe? It was Bekwe Regatta. So some people went over to Bekwe and some came down to Petit Martinique. It was just one love.
That wasn't Bekwe, that's Canawan.
Oh, Canawan. Right.
Bekwe Regatta is in April.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Around the same time with Maroon.
Yes, but this one is the biggest in the region. And the Bekweans are so much into their culture.
Nice.
Rena, we were trying to get the boats ready. And I see this crowd of people down on the beach and music playing and all this studio going on. So we said, let's check it out and go see what it is. Coconut shell boat race.
You joking?
Coconut shell boat race. So they're teaching those children and who prodding the child on and this and that on. When you see a model boat racing back again, it's another spectacle, more place, more people and liberty.
Oh. They have to teach the idea.
Man. Bakery too. But
what? Interesting. Interesting.
That's what it is.
Thank you very, very, very much for this interview. So the next one will go down at Skylar the next time.
Okay.
The next interview would be at Skylar, and you would show to us. Do you have an old picture of Skylar, how it was before?
It was from then to now?
From then to now, that's the comparison that we're going to do.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much again.
You're quite welcome.
And I'm racing with you for regatta. Gosh,
well, that's important, you know.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.